Pakistani crew, a crew from Pakistani PNS Alamgir, was helpless. Indian Coast Guard came to their rescue. Yesterday, NewsX showed you how, despite Pakistan's repeated provocations and betrayals, India jumped to the Pakistani sailors' rescue. Today, we have the exclusive footage of India's humanity on display, a telling video of how Pakistan has failed to do the right thing, and India, in turn, has set the precedent. Take a look. Video in just a bit. We of course have been playing that on our screens, on our channel ever since we got it. This clearly shows that the Indian Coast Guard went out of its way to rescue these Pakistani sailors. Not only did they do that, they brought him onto the boat as well as gave them nourishment and made sure they were in a position, in a state to be handed over to the Pakistani authorities on a Pakistani ship. Now that act of kindness by India seemingly has gone unnoticed, even as Kulbhushan Jadhav has been sentenced to death by a Pakistani military court. This, of course, is happening on in April, 9th of April, and by April the 10th, these Pakistani sailors were back on their boat, safe with their compatriots. This act of kindness is testament to the fact that India is holding on to all international norms and does not violate any international norm or rule, even if it is a goodwill gesture, which this clearly was. Pakistan is not reciprocating in the same vein. There were at least 4 bodies that were also recovered by the Indian authorities, the Indian Coast Guard, which then used an inflated boat to send these Pakistani sailors who had survived their capsizing back to the Pakistani boat, and in stable condition. They were fed, they were nourished and sent back safely under escort by the Indian side. The Indian Coast Guard ships had seen these Pakistani sailors off the coast where Indian Pakistani maritime boundary meets, and they had rescued them before they could, well, get swept away in the sea. Let's go across to Ashish, my colleague, who joins us now for more on this story. Ashish, the telling video really testament to India's humanity, even as Jadhav has been sentenced to death without a proper trial. India, of course, wants to harp on this and give this as proof that every time such a situation happens, India does the right thing while Pakistan doesn't.
Well, Athar, yesterday we broke the pictures, and today, with the help of visuals and new set of pictures, we are putting the entire story in perspective. There is anger among people, both in civilian and in men in uniform, against Pakistan, what has done to Kulbhushan Jadhav. These pictures they tell us a story of how the Indian Coast Guard saved lives of 2 Pakistani Coast Guard sailors and recovered 4 bodies of the Pakistan Coast Guard sailors. This is an exclusive video we have accessed, airing since morning, how the 2 Pakistani sailors that you see are on board Indian Coast Guard ship ICGS Samrat and ICGS Aranjay. These were rescued by the Indian Coast Guard ship. They were rescued by us, they were fed by us, proper medical treatment was given to them, and they were handed over to the Pakistani naval warship by allowing the Pakistani warship PNS Alamgir to enter inside Indian waters. All this action was happening at the time when Pakistan was announcing to the entire world that what its intentions are as far as Kulbhushan Jadhav's death sentence is concerned. We have been getting a lot of updating information on that from the Pakistan government side, but these pictures have put the entire story in perspective, that how Indian government, how Indian Coast Guard, one of the 4 Indian armed forces under the Ministry of Defence, how do they react? The crew member, the Coast Guard head, the Indian government, despite being aware of Pakistan's reaction towards Kulbhushan Jadhav, 2 hours after the announcement by Pakistan, Indian government goes ahead with the help of Coast Guard and the Indian fishermen. They rescue the Pakistani sailors, and hand them over back to the Pakistan naval warship. But
Ashish, the video clearly proves what India has done. We, of course, had broken the pictures yesterday, and now we have the video to prove it as well. Joining me right now is Colonel Retired Danveer Singh, is a defense analyst. Also with us will be Shiv Shankar Mukherjee, former diplomat. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. Ambassador Mukherjee, let me start with you right now. We, of course, have highlighted the part of the video which clearly shows that India saved these Pakistani sailors. Now, immediately one can come to the conclusion that these two incidents are not related because Jadhav is accused of a crime in Pakistan, which might or might not be true, but these are sailors who hadn't really done anything illegal and so were saved. But even then, even if you make that distinction, it is clearly indicative of how India handles matters when it comes to a humanitarian problem. These sailors were going to be in the sea, they would have died had the Coast Guard not stepped in and then delivered them to the Pakistani authorities. No such incidents that I can recall in the recent past that Pakistan has done in a similar situation.
Well, I can only repeat what I said a little while ago on your channel, that it is to be, I mean, we have to congratulate our Coast Guard people for being exactly what they should be, professionals, and with the sense of humanity that should be there in moments like this. I mean, when you are seeing somebody who is in the peril of death, and the only thing that should be in your mind is how to save them, not who they are and whether they are friends or whether they are not friends or whatever. So this is what we should be. This is who we are, and the facts that you mentioned about a comparison with Pakistan. I mean, one can only remember there have been so many instances of the gross violation of bare humanity, the soldiers' code, I mean, beheading of soldiers, brutalization. I mean, the Pakistani authorities refusing to take over even the bodies of the terrorists that were, caught and eliminated on Indian soil. I don't want to get into that debate, but yes, the comparisons are, well, at one end very stark, at the other end heartbreaking.
Clearly.
But as I said, I just want to get even at the worst of times, I think we should... Our soldiers should do exactly what they did just now.
Yes, and there is no comparison really as far as India and Pakistan is concerned when it comes to humanitarian issues as well. But this particular case where Pakistani sailors are about to die in the sea, even after Jadhav's pronouncement was made public, the Indian Coast Guard, obviously with the consent of Indian authorities, decided to go ahead and save them. This clearly indicates our approach to how we approach these humanitarian issues. Now, these people were going to die clearly. The video proves it. We not only hand-delivered them to a Pakistani ship, but this is happening at the same time when Mr. Jadhav has been completely sentenced to his fate and completely on trumped-up charges.
When we are talking of following the humanitarian rules that are being followed worldwide, when we talk of following the international norms, then we should not forget, we should always remember what happened during the Kargil war. Pakistan refused to take the bodies of its own soldiers, while Indians, when they handed over the Pakistani dead, they were, with full military respect, they were handed over to Pakistan. So this is how they look at their own soldiers who die fighting.
These are not even soldiers, these are civilians left to die.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that this is how they look at things, the way they had treated Saurabh Kalia. So that is not hidden from anyone. So now in this particular case, we have again shown that we have a lot of compassion, we have very human values, and we respect the international norms.
Is it going to work, however? In Mr. Jadhav's case...
it is not going to work because it has never worked.
It has never worked.
It has never worked. So it cannot happen that suddenly the devil becomes nice. He cannot turn overnight. And please, while I'm mentioning, we must refer to Christine Fair, which talks about the psychology of these people. They will not lose an opportunity to hurt you, to embarrass you, and to trouble you. They find, each time that they hurt you, they find a small little victory in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is a pattern not going to change anytime soon, whether Mr. Jadhav's case goes wherever. Now, Ambassador Mukherjee, as far as this entire case is concerned, this is just like I said, there has to be a distinction made with Mr. Jadhav's case and the sailors, because Mr. Jadhav has trumped-up charges, but charges of illegal espionage in that country. These sailors were just marooned, I believe, and India, of course, jumped in to save lives. But India has also made it very clear that if they go ahead with Mr. Jadav's execution, a premeditated murder, as the MEA has called it, clearly do you think that the hostile relations, I would call them right now, between India and Pakistan would just become more hostile? There would be no common ground at all. We talk of humanitarian common grounds. Pakistan has shown willingly, time after time, they're not even willing to consider humanitarian grounds.
Well, yes. I mean, I would tend to agree with that. An incident like this, a completely trumped up series of events, a kidnapping followed by an entirely kangaroo court kind of trial. Well, I wouldn't even call it a trial. You know, defying
more like
all
a fatwa.
norms, not only of international
Ambassador
law,
Mukherjee, I'm just
not
being
only
told
the conventions,
that the
Vienna
Pakistani
Conventions and others
NSA
that
has
they have
just spoken
signed
on.
on
Allow me
themselves.
to formally
But-
break this, and we'll discuss that in just a bit.